Good morning. Joining us, Mayor Ray Stephenson of Everett and Public Health and Safety Director Hill Kamen. We appreciate you being here. And you get a gold star for braving traffic to come down to the city in the morning. First, talk about this lawsuit's fairly new. It happened earlier this month. Talk about the basis for that suit.
Well, for the last several years, we've seen a growing heroin epidemic on our streets, and it's manifests itself with homelessness and significant social needs. As we looked at this matter more closely, we determined that Purdue Pharmaceutical really was the genesis of the troubles that we're seeing on our streets today. And so we've been doing research with an outside attorney for the last several months, and we've determined that filing a lawsuit is in the community's best interest. We believe we will demonstrate to Purdue knowingly put OxyContin into our city, created an addiction problem. Once that pharmaceutical changed in its formula, then those who were on the street who were addicted went to heroin, and the facts are very clear that that occurred in our community.
And certainly, for people who don't know, a lot of the people who we see addicted to heroin started with a prescription painkiller problem. And that's where you get a lot of these middle-class families that are falling apart, people you'd never expect to see using heroin in the numbers they are now. But what do you say to people who maybe think this is just playing the blame game, that it's pointing the blame elsewhere? Like, why don't you go ahead and sue doctors or the makers of needles where you inject heroin? Where do you stop if you're going to sue the maker of this drug? Go ahead.
Purdue Pharma had a responsibility to monitor whether their product was entering the black market. And our lawsuit, we have evidence that shows that they had emails alerting them that their product was entering the black market. It was entering the hands of criminal gangs that were distributing it on the streets of Everett, and they failed to take action they were required to take to alert the proper authorities. And so they are responsible for those pills flooding the streets of Everett.
What do you guys hope comes of this? I think there are a lot of cities across the country that are probably looking at what Everett is doing right now and the measures you're trying to take. What do you hope comes of it?
Well, we have significant needs now. Our system, our city has just been overwhelmed with impact, not just first responders, but really everyone from our libraries to our public works employees. I think it's going to be difficult to go backwards and say and quantify the impact of that. But what we know now is that we have people in significant need. We need to provide supportive housing. We need to provide treatment and detox facilities. And I believe that will run in the tens of millions, if not in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And Purdue needs to be held accountable.
You want money.
We want to make our city whole.
Yeah. I want to have you both weigh in really quickly because we're running short on time on a controversial issue that is popping up here in Seattle and King County. They have decided to move forward with what would be the first safe injection sites for heroin users in the entire United States. Is that something that you guys would support in the city of Everett to make sure at least that heroin users aren't dying?
I think we have to look at it closely for sure. We see the evidence of people using heroin in our parks, in our libraries. We see the needles in our neighborhoods and in backyards. Clearly, something needs to be done. We will watch what City of Seattle is doing more closely and determine whether that's a step that we want to take. I think it is probably the next evolution of the activity. Our focus right now, though, is so strong on holding Purdue accountable, and that's where we've put all of our energy.
And really, really quickly, Hill, do you agree with that? Because you're the Director of Health and Public Safety, and those safe injection sites deal with both of those issues. Do you agree with the mayor there?
I agree with the mayor, and I agree that we're putting our efforts in the direction to address this problem, holding more than just the taxpayer accountable for fixing it, because we have put a lot of police, jail, public health resources into addressing this, and for long-term solutions. We want to make sure that the company that was responsible for flooding our streets with these pills and increasing the people who are suffering with addiction are responsible for also paying for those solutions that include all of the best options that we can come up with and that we're exploring.
All right, gentlemen, we appreciate it. We're going to be watching what happens there very closely. And I think everyone agrees we can't do nothing, right? And so certainly we're on board with you guys and on your team when it comes to dealing with the heroin crisis. Thanks for being here.